A bitter family feud turns into a lawsuit. Olympic gymnast Dominique Moceanu is suing her parents for her independence. Dominique's father, Dominique Moceanu, will be joining us in a moment. First, Bill Jones, Dominique complains that as she is going through her training, it was always, you got to go to the gym. It was always training, and you as a coach know something about this kind of parental pressure and the problems put on these youngsters. Talk to us about that, would you?
Certainly. It's usually a two-way street. The gymnast wants to be successful, and the parents want the gymnast to be successful. And sometimes the gymnast wants more than the parents want, and the parents want more than the gymnast want. And it depends on the individual circumstances. I think that she, as an athlete, has done very, very well. And as far as the parental part of it, I'm not familiar with that at all. And I can see that she has been very successful. And as far as the atmosphere of her response to the nation, it's been good. I didn't know of any problems in her life, because that has never come forward. This is the first I've heard of it. In fact, I just heard about the problem that they were having this week. I saw it on television.
Well, thank heaven, because, you know, and Bill, I'm sure it's because it's a family. It's a family affair, and, you know, things that happen within families we don't know about. But Roy Moore, how is all this, what kind of effect all this is happening on Dominique's professional career at this point?
What was that again, please?
I was going to ask you, what effect is all this lawsuit and these trials and tribulations having on Dominique's professional career at this point?
Oh, it won't have anything on through her career as long as she can continue to train. But if it takes her away from the gymnasium and she can't do training, it's gonna hinder her.
Well, I was going to ask Roy Moore that question. Roy?
Well, why doesn't her daddy leave her alone then and let her train and go ahead and let her have her disabilities removed? And also, Johnny, if you'll notice, she has verified this petition saying the facts are true and correct. She is my client that has indicated this, and she tells me that they are true. Certainly, if Mr. Moceanu is willing to let her be emancipated, all he has to do is agree to it, just exactly like I believe some other gymnast parents have done.
Well, Roy Moore, you know, so our viewers are clear on this. You're talking about a verified complaint, which means that your client has signed it, verifying that what's in that complaint is true and correct, as I understand it. So our viewers should understand that. We're now joined by Mr. Dominique Moceanu. Thank you very much for joining us this evening, sir. We thank you.
You're very welcome.
Earlier, before you arrived, Mr. Moore has said this is really only about your daughter's emancipation, that if you and your wife would allow her to go, that would probably end this matter, if I'm paraphrasing what he said. And I wanted to give you a chance to respond to that first and get your thoughts on it.
Well, we don't believe our daughter she's ready to be to do this, and I don't believe she's ready. She's not ready for that.
And why do you say that? I mean, you obviously know your daughter well.
She doesn't have the experience, and she doesn't have the maturity to take over a business.
All right, and you have been running, you and your wife have been running the business, is that right?
Yes, yes.
Mr. Moore again makes some allegations, and he says your daughter did sign a complaint that there have been unanswered questions about her finances, and there's concerns about that. Do you want to address that for him?
I don't see should be any concern of anybody. This is a family matter. All her money has been on the gym and her properties. It's the trust on her name. We are just the trustee. She's the beneficial. So I don't believe this is an issue to be talking about.
Mr. Moore, you want to respond? It's not a deposition, but you want to respond at all?
Oh, sure I do. That's exactly the problem. He says it's a family matter. She's mine. I can do what I want to. I shouldn't have to respond to it. And that's the reason she had to file this suit, Johnny, is to make him do it. And all she wants, again, is to be emancipated, to be allowed to contract in her own right. And certainly he doesn't want her to do it, because then the money tree is gone. And that's exactly what she has been to this gentleman. And I'm not saying he doesn't love her.
And, Johnny, you wonder why we don't just run down and sign and agree to this petition?
Well, I see that there's a basis, there's a litigible dispute here. I can certainly see that. Let me go back to Mr. Dominique Moceanu. Sir, is there a message you want to get to your daughter?
Well, no, this is not the message. I like to talk with her. First of all, I like to find out if my daughter she's safe. We don't talk with her for a long time. I mean, since she left, and her attorney is never saying to us she's okay. We like to talk with her. The restraining order he got through the court is illegal.
Well, let me ask Mr. Moore. Mr. Moore, can you share with the Moceanos as to whether and verify this young lady is in fact safe?
Absolutely, and their attorney has been told that, and you know well, Johnny, I'm not allowed to communicate with Mr. Moceanu.
Yes, I understand that. And
certainly,
she is. Well,
Johnny, would you ask Mr. Moore where she is?
She is in a safe place, Johnny, and I'm not going to say.
Well,
she is scared to death.
Is she with this 32-year-old guy named Brian, or with a 23-year-old coach named Jeff?
You know, Johnny,
there are a lot of questions here. Catherine, you have a lot of questions.
I'm just full of them.
You're full of questions. Well, all good lawyers are full of questions. Hold those questions. We're going to take a break at this point and continue our discussion of this family dispute involving Olympic gymnast Dominique Moceanu. Please don't touch that dial. Olympic gymnast Dominique Moceanu is reportedly living like a fugitive after suing her parents for her freedom. And Mr. Dominique Moceanu, I'd like to ask again, tell us how you feel about your daughter now. Obviously, you're concerned about her. We've heard tonight from Mr. Moore that she is in fact safe. How do you feel after, you raised this young lady and she's an Olympic champion?
Well, we are very upset and very sad about this situation. And we like for our daughter to come home, and if she has anything to discuss, we can discuss it in the family. This issue, they never been discussed in our family. So I don't know where Mr. Moore came with these answers. And the interview on last Tuesday on Houston Chronicle, I'm not sure if those answers are Dominique. Well, and I'd like to ask Mr. Moore, who did the interview for Dominique on Tuesday for the Chronicle, Houston Chronicle?
Mr. Moore, do you want to respond?
Sure. Dominique answered every one of them. She was questioned very, very carefully. Johnny, I visited with her for 3 to 4 hours on Sunday, asking her over and over if this was her decision. And yes, she has indicated that it is. She simply wants to manage her own funds.
Well, I don't think she does, Johnny. I don't think she wants to manage her own funds. I think Jeff Pudlow and Brian Huggins wants to manage her own funds.
Catherine's wrong on that. She's dead wrong.
I don't think so, and I have evidence against that. And you're wrong, Roy.
Let me go back to Dimitri on this. Dimitri?
Let me ask Mr. Roy. Mr. Roy, I mean, Mr. Moore.
Okay, that's fine.
Do you know Brian Higgins?
I've met him. Surely I have.
Where did you meet him?
I'm sorry, what?
Where did you meet him?
I'm sorry.
He asked you, where did you meet him, Roy?
I met him Sunday.
Sunday?
Yes.
Did he find you in the Yellow Book on Sunday? Are you open your business on Sunday, sir?
I'm not going to answer ridiculous questions.
Well, all right. Well, wait, listen, let me go to Linda Kinney, my resident expert
and
here.
And what
about... Dimitri, let me just ask Linda Kinney questions about... Well, what are Dominique's rights in this whole thing? But she's suing to be emancipated, to gain her freedom. Right. She's got a lawyer. She signed a verified complaint. What can she do at this point?
Well, I think the lawyers have to remember, as they're talking here on TV to the audience, Johnny, that there is a guardian here and a court, and there's an in-between matter. This judge could find that maybe she's 17 going on 13 and appoint a third party to take care of her for a year. But in a year, she's going to be emancipated, whether the parents or the lawyers or anybody like it or not. And that's one thing we have to remember here. In our society, we have kennels for ASPCA, for dogs and all. We have the best interests of animals. We don't do any less for kids. The viewers have to remember that. We have the best interests of the kids, and the courts hopefully will help and mediate.
All right, good. Dimitri, I want to give you the last opportunity to anything you want to say to either your daughter or to Mr. Moore or anyone else.
Well, I just like to tell my daughter we love her very much, and do not listen to stranger, even to her lawyer, or Brian Higgins, or Jeff Puddle. I mean, you cannot find a lawyer on Saturday night at 10 o'clock. This was premeditated. This was planned before, and Mr. Moore, he knew about this case before Saturday, before she left. Well, we have a lot of people. There are a lot of people involved, and we have a lot of evidence.
Well, Dimitri, I thank you very much for joining us. I want to thank all of my guests and all of the counsel in this matter, and I certainly hope this matter can be resolved for joining us tonight. And coming next, someone who's never at a loss for words.